The cruel gift. The room was quiet, filled with strange tension. On the other side of the metal doors stood a cage. Inside it sat a woman with golden skin and silver hair. She looked proud, even though her wrists were chained. Her glowing eyes did not show fear. She looked at everything with calm hate. A tall alien general smirked as he stood beside the cage. "This," he said loudly, "is our gift to the humans. May they enjoy this royal pet." The crowd of aliens laughed. The woman didn't move. She sat perfectly still, but her eyes burned like fire. They pushed the cage forward into the large, human camp. The humans watched silently. Most looked confused. Some looked angry. The human general, Commander Rylus, stepped forward. He was young, his face calm, his uniform simple. He looked at the cage, then at the alien soldiers. "What is this?" he asked. The alien general laughed. "A gift from our empire, a symbol of peace, and a joke if you understand our humor." He bowed mockingly and left. The cage door shut behind him. Only the woman remained. Commander Rylus stared at her. She stared back. For a long moment, no one spoke. Then he turned to his men. "Unlock the cage." His soldiers hesitated. One of them whispered, "Sir, she's a royal, dangerous." "She's unarmed," Rylus said. "Unlock it." The lock clicked. The cage door opened. The woman did not move. "Do you understand me?" Rylus asked. "Yes," she replied softly. Her voice was calm. Too calm. It made the men uneasy. "You're free to leave the cage." "Free?" she asked, her tone cold. "Am I a guest now?" "You're not a prisoner," he said, "but we don't know who you are yet. You'll be treated with respect, until you give us a reason not to." Her silver eyes narrowed. "Respect? From a human?" She slowly stepped out of the cage. She walked with grace, like a queen. Even with dirt on her face, even with chains on her wrists, she looked like someone born to rule. The soldiers stepped back. Rylus didn't move. He simply said, "Get her a room. Food. Water. Remove the chains." The soldiers looked shocked. "But sir, do it." She watched all of this with unreadable eyes. That night she sat alone in a small room. It was plain but clean. A tray of food sat in front of her. Untouched, she stared at it, then looked around the room. No guards, no locks, no weapons. She touched her wrist. No chains anymore. Then the door opened. Rylus entered holding a blanket. She looked at him. "Another gift?" "It gets cold at night," he said. "This room isn't heated." He placed the blanket down and turned to leave. "Wait," she said. He stopped. "Why are you being kind?" she asked. "They gave me to you to insult you, to mock you. Why are you not punishing me?" Rylus turned and looked into her eyes. "Because I'm not like them." And then he left. She stood there in silence for a long time. Later, she sat on the floor wrapped in the blanket. She picked up the food, ate slowly, quietly, and for the first time in many nights, she didn't cry. The warm silence. She woke up before the sun. Her eyes opened slowly. For a moment, she didn't remember where she was. No cage, no shouting guards, just silence, warm silence. The blanket was still around her. The air was cold but not biting. She sat up and looked around. The small room had one bed, one chair, and a window. Outside, the sky was still dark, stars blinking above the human camp. Then she heard it. Footsteps. The door opened quietly. It was Commander Rylus again. This time he held a steaming cup. "You're awake," he said. "What is that?" she asked. "Tea," he replied. "Helps with cold mornings." She narrowed her eyes. "More kindness?" Still trying to confuse. "Me?" Rylus placed the cup on the table. "You don't trust me, that's fine. But you need food, rest, and warmth. No tricks." He turned to leave. "You should fear me," she said suddenly. He paused, didn't turn around. I know who you are. Then you know what I've done? Yes. A long silence passed. And you're still not afraid? She asked. He turned to her, finally meeting her eyes. I've seen war, he said softly. Real fear doesn't come from royalty. It comes from losing people. He left. She sat there, stunned. For the first time, someone had not bowed to her name or trembled before her power. Instead, he spoke to her like a person. For hours, she sat in that silence, staring out the window, watching humans go about their work, building, moving supplies, laughing softly. They looked so normal, so different from what she had been taught. Later, she walked through the camp. 2 guards followed her at a distance, but she was not in chains. She passed by a young human soldier struggling to lift a box. He looked up at her, unsure, afraid, but said nothing. She stopped. You're carrying it wrong, she said. He blinked. What? Balance it on your knee first, she muttered. Then lift with both hands. The soldier did as told. It worked. Thanks, he whispered, eyes wide. She walked away without answering. Inside the command tent, Rylus watched it all on a monitor. His second-in-command frowned. You trust her too much. She could have killed me already, Rylus said. But she didn't. Maybe she's waiting. Maybe, Rylus said. Or maybe she's just tired of being someone else's weapon. That night, the camp was quiet. She stood outside her room looking at the stars. Her hands were behind her back. Her silver hair blew softly in the wind. We're not so different, Rylus said behind her. She didn't turn around. Your people enslaved mine. Your people destroyed whole colonies. And now, she asked, you think tea and blankets will fix that? No, he said. But maybe silence can start what violence never could. Finally, she turned to him. What do you see when you look at me? She asked. A threat? A broken thing? Or just a gift you didn't want? I see someone tired of being used. Her breath caught. Rest, he said gently. Tomorrow won't be easy. Why? He didn't answer. Just looked at her one last time and walked away. Early the next morning, alarms screamed through the base. Soldiers ran, weapons clicked, drones lifted into the sky. She stepped outside, confused. Then she saw it. Alien fighters fast and silent flying above, then they opened fire. Explosions hit the far edge of the camp. Chaos. She didn't run. She ran towards the flames, and in the smoke she found Rylus on the ground, bleeding, a burning beam on top of his leg. Commander, a soldier shouted. Leave. Him, we have to pull back. Move, she ordered, eyes glowing with sudden rage. She grabbed the burning beam and lifted it. The heat burned her skin. Pain shot through her arms. But she didn't stop. Rylus groaned. She pulled him free. You saved me, he whispered as he faded into unconsciousness. She looked down at him. Then she looked up at the sky. At the ships. Who dared to hurt him? Her hands clenched into fists. You shouldn't have come, she whispered. And in that moment, the royal gift became something else. Something dangerous. The forbidden bond. The battle was over by morning. Smoke rose in thin columns. Fires were out. The dead were counted. Rylus lived. Barely. He was unconscious in the med tent, his leg wrapped in thick bandages. The alien woman sat beside him, silent. Her hands were burned, her skin blistered. But she didn't ask for help. She didn't speak. She only watched him breathe. When a medic tried to move her, she growled, "Touch him, and I break your fingers." They let her stay. Outside the tent, whispers spread through the human ranks. She saved him. Why? Wasn't she gifted to mock us? Then why does she cry when he's hurt? Miles away, deep in the golden palace of the alien empire, the king slammed his hand on a crystal table. The spy knelt before him, shaking. "Say it again," the king hissed. "She saved the human commander, your majesty," the spy repeated, publicly. The humans now guard her like one of their own. The king's face twisted. She was born royal, mine. She was to be mocked, not honored. Another advisor stepped forward. If the rumors are true, there may be more, my king. What do you mean? Some say she sleeps near him, that she does not wear chains, that she smiles. The king's eyes widened. And if she carries his child? No one answered. Send a shadow fleet. The king ordered coldly. I want her, brought back, alive. But if she resists, burn the camp. Days passed. Rylus healed slowly. He woke one night to find her sleeping in a chair beside him. Her arms were crossed, her head rested against the wall. He whispered her name, the one she had finally told him. Lixari. Her eyes opened. He smiled weakly. I thought you left. Almost did, she said. Why stay? I don't know. But she did. She just wouldn't say it. Not yet. They walked together again 5 days later. His leg limped, but he didn't use a cane. The soldiers stared but said nothing. She looked different now, softer. Her hair brushed into order, no longer wearing prisoner clothes, now dressed in simple human fabric. They say you're my guard now, Rylus joked. Don't flatter yourself, she said flatly. He grinned. You didn't deny it. She didn't reply. They stopped. At the edge of the camp, the sunset was blood red. Your people will come for you, Rylus said. I know. Will you go with them? I don't know. Again she did, but she wouldn't say it. That night someone slipped into the camp, a shadow in human armor. A traitor. The spy entered the tent quietly. Lixari was asleep. He raised a knife, and she opened her eyes. In one move she rolled, kicked the weapon from his hand and drove her elbow into his throat. He choked, dropped, gasped for breath. She didn't kill him. Instead, she dragged him outside, in front of Rylus and the whole camp. This one tried to cut me open while I slept, she said coldly. I want to know who sent him. The soldiers stood frozen. Rylus stepped forward. Lock him up, Lixari whispered in Rylus's ear. That was not the last one. He nodded. 2 nights later, she collapsed in the medical tent, sudden dizziness, pain in her chest, burning heat in her body. The doctor scanned her, then froze. Commander, he whispered, you need to see this. Rylus entered, saw her lying on the bed, sweating, shaking. The doctor looked at him. She's not sick. She's pregnant. Rylus didn't speak. But that's not all. The doctor added, voice low. Her blood is royal, and the fetus has human genes. Silence. Rylus looked at her. She looked at him, her lips trembled. Not with fear, but rage. They'll kill me for this, she whispered. They'll kill it. Rylus stepped closer. No, he said. They'll have to go through me first. In the palace, the alien king screamed as the news arrived. He tore apart the message scroll with his claws. She carries the heir, he snarled. Half human, another hissed. Unacceptable. Illegal by blood law. Then we will erase it, the king declared. The child, the mother, the human, the entire base. His eyes glowed red. Prepare the royal purge, the heir in her womb. A storm moved across the desert skies, clouds black as smoke, lightning cracked the air. Inside the command tent, Lixari sat in silence, her hands trembled, not from fear but from the storm inside her body. Her unborn child, her heir. She touched her stomach. There was life inside her, life they would kill if they found her. You shouldn't be up, Rylus said from the entrance. They'll come soon, she whispered. They'll bring fire, and they won't stop until we are dust. Rylus stepped closer. Then we leave before they arrive. She looked at him sharply. And run forever? If it means you and the child live. Yes. They gathered a small team. Loyal soldiers. Quiet ones, those who had seen enough war to know what mattered. They packed only what was needed. No heavy weapons, no radios, just silence, speed, and shadows. Before leaving, Lixari stood at the edge of the base. She looked back once. "I was sent here in a cage," she said softly. "Not anymore," Rylus replied. "You're walking out. And they'll never forget it. They hid in the ruins of an old world, a place both human and alien had abandoned after the last war. Cities broken by time-shattered towers, endless winds. There Lixari found strange dreams. She saw her child, a boy maybe or a girl, no face, just light, standing before two worlds, speaking words that shook the stars, born from war, destined for peace. She woke, gasping. Rylus was beside her, half awake. "Another dream?" he asked. She nodded. "You always whisper when you sleep," he said with a tired smile. "But tonight, you whispered a name." "What name?" "I don't know," he said. But it sounded like a star. Far away, the alien king's purge fleet launched. Black ships, cloaked weapons, designed for silence and death. They were told to destroy everything. No prisoners. No mercy. But first, they had to find her, and someone had already sold the humans out. In the ruins, betrayal came with a smile. A man named Torres, one of Rylus's own, had followed them in secret. He lit a beacon while the others slept. "I'm sorry," he whispered into the darkness. "But this child, it's unnatural." The signal blinked red, and the hunters came. The attack was sudden. Dark shapes fell from the sky. Silent, fast, too many. They didn't speak. They didn't warn. They only fired. Explosions tore through the ruins. Rylus grabbed Lixari, pulling her behind broken stone. Her breath came fast, her hands over her belly. "The child," she whispered. "You must save the child. I'm not leaving you," Rylus growled. A bullet skimmed his shoulder. He winced, but held her tighter. "We run together, or we don't run at all." They moved through fire, through smoke, through screams. Soldiers fell around them, loyal men and women buying them seconds with their lives. A sniper took aim at Lixari. Before he could fire, boom. The sniper vanished in a red cloud. A young soldier, barely 20, held the smoking rifle. "Get her out," he shouted. "Go." They ran. They ran until their legs gave out. Inside a hidden bunker under the ruins, the last survivors caught their breath. Lixari collapsed on the ground. Her eyes were wide, her skin pale. Rylus knelt beside her. "Talk to me." "The child," she whispered. "It's not just a baby." He frowned. "What do you mean?" "It's something ancient," she said. "Something old blood remembers." She looked at him, tears in her eyes. "They're not afraid of the baby because it's mine. They're afraid because it carries both of us." "A unity?" he asked. She nodded. "Born of two enemies," she said. "A future that doesn't need kings or war." Deep under the alien palace, a hooded priest read ancient texts by candlelight. His hands shook. The old prophecies spoke of a royal born of enemy fire, with blood of flame and heart of peace. A child that ends the golden rule. He turned to the royal guard beside him. "It's her," the priest whispered. "She is the key." The guard frowned. "The king says to kill her." The priest closed the book. "Then the king is already dead. He just doesn't know it." In the bunker, Lixari held her belly. Outside, the earth trembled with distant thunder. She whispered to the child inside her. "They will come," she said. "But you were never meant to run." She turned to Rylus. "We fight now," she said. "We fight not just to live, but so he can rule." "Rule what?" Rylus asked softly. "Not a throne," she said, eyes glowing. "A future. The royal hunt." They moved again before sunrise. The bunker was no longer safe. Their enemies were closing in. And now, the air smelled like betrayal. Rylus kept one hand on his weapon, and the other near Lixery. She walked slowly now, the child growing inside her made every step harder, but her eyes were sharper than ever. "They won't stop," she said. "Let them come," Rylus replied. "They'll find we're not so easy to erase." Back in the Golden Palace, the alien king sat on his throne like a dying star, angry, proud, afraid. His generals reported failure. His assassins had not returned. "Send poison," he hissed. "Make it look like kindness." "Yes, my king." That evening, as the survivors made camp in an abandoned mine shaft, a drone dropped a supply crate, marked with a human military seal. "Back up finally?" asked a soldier. "Maybe," Rylus said, opening the crate. Inside, water, food, med packs, everything they needed. Too perfect. Lixari stepped closer. Her eyes narrowed. "Don't touch the food," she said. "Why?" She pointed to the seal. "Look again. Your people use black ink. This seal was stamped in dark blue." A heartbeat passed. Then she kicked the crate, hard. It cracked open, and a tiny vial rolled out. A liquid shimmered inside. The label read, "Sleep forever. Poison." Rylus froze. "They're not hunting us with guns anymore," Lixari said. "They're trying to trick us. Smile while they stab." The group burned the crate. No one ate that night. The message was clear. They had no friends left. The next day they crossed into the stone valleys, narrow paths where voices echoed, and danger came from above. Lixari felt the child move for the first time. Not a kick. A twist, like it knew something was coming, like it was preparing. "How far along?" Rylus asked. "I don't know," she whispered. "But it's growing faster than normal." "Faster?" She nodded. "This is not just a child, it's a fire. Inside me. Old blood waking up." Just before nightfall they were ambushed. Again. This time not by soldiers but shadows. Cloaked warriors with no emblems, no flags. Only knives. Silent. Fast. Killers sent by both sides. One soldier died before he could scream. Another disappeared into smoke. But Lixari had trained since childhood to kill kings. And tonight, she remembered. She tore one assassin's weapon from his hand and slit his throat with his own blade. Blood hit the rocks like rain. Rylus shot two more, his eyes cold. His aim perfect, but there were too many. They were surrounded. Then, a blast. From the ridge above, a hidden gun fired. The assassins scattered. The smoke cleared. A single figure stood on the rocks, wrapped in black robes. "Who are you?" Rylus shouted. The figure climbed down and removed his hood. He was old. Alien. His eyes glowing gold. "I am not your enemy," the man said. "I am the last priest of the old stars." Lixari stared at him, frozen. "You were supposed to be dead," she whispered. "I was," he replied. "But death waits for prophecy." They sat around a small fire that night. The priest spoke softly. "The child you carry is not a mistake. It is not a threat. It is balance. The first to carry blood from both lines, human and royal." "How do you know this?" Rylus asked. "Because I saw it written before either of you were born," he said. "Your names, your faces, and your child, the heir of fire." "Then why is the king trying to kill us?" Lixari asked. "Because the throne will not survive." "Peace," the priest said. "As long as war lives, kings live. Your child ends both." Later that night, Lixari sat alone. She touched her belly. The baby moved again, but it felt different now. Stronger. Aware. She closed her eyes, and for a moment, she heard it. A voice. Small. Clear. "I'm not afraid, Mother." Her eyes opened wide. She didn't speak. Didn't tell anyone. But something inside her had changed. She no longer feared death. She feared losing time. In the dark, Torres, the traitor, crept close to their camp again. But this time, Lixari was waiting. She stood in his path. He froze. "I didn't know," he whispered. I thought the child would bring ruin." You were right, she said, stepping closer. But not ruin for us. For them. He tried to run. She moved faster, and when she returned to camp, her hands were clean, but her eyes were colder than before. Rylus asked nothing. He simply took her hand. They both knew what came next. No more hiding. No more running. It was time to make the Empire afraid. The broken crown. The sky turned black without a storm. Ships were coming. Big ones. The Empire was done sending shadows. Now, they sent fire. Lixari stood at the edge of the canyon, wind in her hair, cloak whipping behind her. She stared at the horizon, where the enemy's light crawled forward like a slow-burning fuse. They're bringing everything, Rylus said behind her. Good, she answered. Then I won't have to go find them. Inside the stone fortress, they now called home, the priest placed his hands on her belly. Not to bless the child, but to listen, his breath caught. The child is awake. Lixari nodded. He speaks in dreams. To you? To the stars, she whispered. I just hear the echo. The priest looked afraid now. They are going to try to kill him before he is born. Let them try, she said. Hours later, a message arrived, a hologram, a voice she hadn't heard in years, her father, the king. His face was older, crueler, but his voice was still soft, like poisoned honey. My daughter, he said. You were my pride once. Now you carry poison. I offer you this one mercy. Return, surrender the child, and you will die quickly. Rylus stepped forward. What if we say no? The king smiled. Then I will kill every man who stands with you, and I will rip the child from your bones myself. The message ended. The silence was colder than the wind. Lixari turned to the group. We fight. The next 3 days were war. Real war. Missiles in the sky. Machines crawling across stone. Weapons that screamed like dying gods. But something strange happened. The more they attacked, the stronger she felt. Her child didn't make her weaker. It made her sharp. Her steps faster. Her senses louder. Her courage. Fire. What is happening? To me? She asked the priest. He answered without blinking. You are becoming what the old blood once feared. A queen born from love, not conquest. On the 4th night the wall broke. An alien assassin slipped through the wreckage, cloaked in shadow. He struck fast, stabbing Rylus in the side. Blood spilled. Rylus dropped. Lixari screamed. The assassin raised the blade again. And she caught. His wrist. He was strong. She was stronger. She didn't stab him. She crushed his skull with her bare hands. Her own people had turned her into a weapon long ago. Tonight, she remembered how to use it. In the med bay, Rylus lay pale and sweating. The doctor looked grim. He needs a real hospital, he said, or he dies. Lixari stood frozen. The fire inside her cracked. She sat beside him, took his hand, and for the first time in front of anyone, she cried. I can't do this alone, she whispered. Don't leave me. Rylus's eyes opened, barely. Then, don't let me die. Her heart snapped into focus. She stood again, but this time not as a mother, not as a lover, as a queen. With help from the priest, they used ancient codes hidden in her bloodline. Secret overrides, forgotten commands. They hijacked an enemy ship. Just one, but enough. She flew straight into the heart of the Empire. The Golden Palace was not ready. Not for her, not for the flames she brought with her. She crashed through the gates, alone, her belly round, her eyes glowing. The guards raised weapons and lowered them. They felt it too. Not fear, not loyalty, something deeper, like the sky itself had opened. She walked through the halls of her ancestors like fire on 2 legs, and she found the king waiting on the throne. My daughter, he said, voice shaking. You were supposed to be dead. So were you, she said. He rose. You can't lead. Your child is not pure. She stepped closer. He is more than pure, she said. He is the future. The king drew his sword. She didn't move, and before he could swing, the priest appeared behind him. You broke the old laws, he whispered, and drove a dagger into the king's back. The crown hit the floor, and the king fell with it. The palace fell silent. No cheers, no songs, just silence. The kind that comes before something new is born. Lixari stood over the crown. She did not pick it up. Instead, she turned to the throne and sat down. Not in victory, but in warning. I don't rule because I won, she said. I rule because he is coming. The air awakens. It was quiet in the palace. Too quiet. No servants moved, no advisor spoke. The golden hall, once full of voices and lies, now echoed only with her footsteps. Lixari stood alone at the center, hand on her belly. The child within kicked. Hard. He's coming, she whispered. The old priest bowed behind her. The stars are already watching. Outside, across the empire, worlds paused. Warships powered down. Governments held their breath. They all felt it. Something was about to be born. In the sky above the palace, black ships hovered. The loyalists, what remained of the king's personal army, had returned. They hadn't come to kneel. They'd come to erase the prophecy. One child cannot break an empire, their commander growled. Then you don't understand what's inside that womb, someone whispered. Deep beneath the throne, the birth began. Lixari lay on a bed of old silk, gripping Rylas's hand. His wounds were still healing, his face pale, but he refused to leave her side. She screamed once, not in pain, in power. A shockwave spread from her cry. Cracks formed in the palace walls. The guards outside staggered, hands on their heads, hearing a voice that wasn't theirs. I'm ready. Then he was born. Small, silent, eyes closed. But every star above the empire blinked, as if greeting him. He opened his eyes. They were not silver, not gold. They were burning white, like suns, like destiny. The priest fell to his knees. The air of fire. Rylas held his son, trembling. He's real. Lixari, weak but smiling, whispered, he's ours. But the peace didn't last. A second army was already moving. The loyalist fleet fired the first shot. Palace shields shattered. The queen and child had to die. That was the only command. Inside the royal hall, alarms screamed. A soldier ran in. They've breached the walls. Lixari stood even with blood still on her gown. Get the child to the vault, she ordered. You can't fight like this. I am not fighting, she said coldly. I am ending. The vault was an ancient chamber buried in stone. Only royal blood could open it. Lixari's handprint burned into the door. It opened. Inside, ancient weapons, star maps, scrolls, and a throne made not of gold, but of pure energy. Rylas entered with the baby in his arms. The child looked around and reached toward the glowing seat. He knew it was his. Lixari kissed the child's forehead. You don't have to fight their war, she whispered. Just show them who you are. She turned to Rylas to protect him, even from me if you must. Where are you going, he asked. To burn the past. In the throne room, the roof exploded. Metal rained down. Enemies charged through. Lixari stood in the center, dressed in royal armor, holding no sword, only her name. They laughed. She raised her hand, and the flames answered. From the old blood, from the child, from the bond between worlds. Fire poured from her skin. Not fire that destroyed, fire that rewrote. The attackers screamed as their weapons melted, their ships turned to dust, their memories burned. And then, silence. Again. When Rylas came out of the vault hours later carrying the child, the palace was quiet. No army waited. No enemies stood. Just her, sitting on the stone steps, exhausted, her crown shattered at her feet. She looked up. It's done, she whispered. They're gone. All of them? No, she said. just the ones who couldn't imagine a future. Years passed. The boy grew fast, smarter than both his parents. He spoke 5 languages by age 3, and he dreamed of peace before he knew what war meant. He didn't rule from a throne. He ruled from silence, from stories, from the way people followed his mother when she entered a room. One day, he asked Lixery, "Was I really born from a joke?" She smiled. "You were a gift they meant to mock us with," she said. "But love turned that joke into fire." And then she whispered, "Now you carry the royal flame."